Hi, welcome back to the channel, guys. I have a test video here. This is a different computer. This is marine engine computer to one of my customers in Illinois from a diesel company. It's actually diesel service in Illinois. His name is Josh. He sent me these two computers. One is running good, and the other one he has a problems. So he's like, "Hey, Mike, can you please help me out? I want to see if you can test these two computers for me and let me know what you can find." So I have just to protect some of his information, just so you guys can see a little bit what he's describing, what is happening on the port ECM, and what is happening on the starboard ECM. So this is the starboard ECM. I also have the information in here. He sent me a few pictures of his testing. Things that I immediately noticed is in these computers, you need to have pretty much the same calibration checksum because I can tell you that, or that can guide you to think that the harness in the engine is not the same from one to the other computer because in boats, they have gray color engine, red color engine, and that can have sensors in different positions. I immediately noticed too 64 hours and then 940 hours. So this might be the original ECM. um, so right now I have the computer running, and this is the one 644, and he said that this one is actually running really good, and it is. I have, like you can see, zero trouble codes. I am, trying to set up the computer with my simulation values like that. I know for a fact that is steady because his concern is the idles up and down and idles up and down in the port engine. These with the values that I am giving right now, again, a steady temperature, a steady manifold temperature, a steady manifold pressure. Those are very important inputs in here. And also the IAC position, which I have right now here, the IAC, that is just a substituted value for the coil. I am also checking the firmware reference and it's good. So this computer, that is the fuel pump relay. We can see that shows in the simulator 1.2 milliseconds. That is exactly pretty much, 1.3 what the computer is reading. And I have also my, let me turn this off so not much. It's actually the other light behind. That might be a better position. So yeah, in here I have the other, or the actual oscilloscope connected to the two injector signals. This is a backfire system. All right, so I can set up the cursors and I can move them. I can probably change this time so we can see a little more. Nice thing about this one is touch screen, so I can move those really close and then just set it up with the nub. As soon as I touch on that, it moves it to there. But yeah, so we got 1.293, so yes, it's around 1.3 milliseconds, and both are doing the same. So this is perfect. So the computer is working good. I can raise the RPMs in here. Yep, on that button here. I'm going to go over to like around 3000 RPMs and then change the TPS position, which is, pretty much. I change sometimes the map just a little bit so it's not given too high of a reading. Obviously, the map will reduce its voltage and reading based on RPM. But yeah, we got 3000 RPMs. The injection millisecond change, just not too much, a little bit. It still shows like 1.4, and we'll have to stop the capture in the oscilloscope, but that's around the same. So we have 1.3 here, 1.2 in there, or 1.4, and I'm getting around 1.3. Well, again, it's a little hard to catch it exactly, so you know, zero point 0.1 of a millisecond ain't going to give any issues. So this is working good. Things that we can do with this diagnostics software, and I was telling him, is because he used Brinda as well, is that you can record. So right here, record live data. You can record that, and it's going to record now starting from here. It will go back, I think it's like 10 seconds. So even because, it's the same software, so I would capture whatever 10 seconds before you were there and then give you that reading as well. So I always try to capture this. I then go down again to idle because the IAC position should change when you go into higher RPMs. And so let me just change the value so hopefully you guys can see that. I'm going about, what the idle of the TPS should be. And usually at idle, we are like 12.5 inches of mercury. That's what I am always giving my computers in here for the test. The temperatures I keep always the same along the test, so I'm not changing anything. But then by me recording these values, I can now take this exact test and compare it to the one that he has the concern on. Again, I'm a little off because the two checksums on the computers are different, and also I can see on the stickers, this is going to be backwards, but it's a 57 TBI, which is okay, but this is a 00BZ01. This one, on the other hand, the one he has the concerns is this one we can turn because it's not plugged in. It's a 57 TBI, right? 01HT03. And that is a very important because again, you cannot just take a computer and think that it's going to work properly into just any engine because it's a 57. They change positions of sensors, and that is going to also change the maps on the computer because let's say for any reason the map is not in the same position. I'm just, giving or throwing a sensor out there for the sake of explaining what can change. If the map is in a different position, if the IAC is in a different position, it will probably request the computer to have a different map for the IAC to open in a different Spark Advance and a different Throttle Advance. So those are the things that, unless you are able to compare, apples to apples, or do what I'm doing in here, grab this, record it, and then compare it to the other computer. And then you can see because this is in here a control environment. And here I'm providing a steady, completely steady value. So this is not an engine running. There is going to be, temperature, a real temperature that is going to be increasing or, um, injection there is going up and down because of the actual reading of the map sensor. There is in this MAP, right, manifold air pressure sensor, there is actually reading the manifold, so the intake. All right, so in this case it's a completely controlled environment that I can really compare this computer to the other one and then find out what is actually wrong with it or not. All right, so I'm going to plug the other computer. Well, okay, let me stop this recording because then I can put this in here and just save it as Josh. And then I'm going to put a starboard. Starboard. And I'm going to put the last digits on the computer, which is 1231. This is saved on a file that I will show you in a second for those who use this too. So, because the other thing that I want to do, I'm in idle right now, so everything is fine, no fault codes. The ECM has been running for like almost 28 minutes because I want to warm it up, even though it's not an real engine. The components get hot. All right, so this is not a problem. Nothing is wrong with this computer, so I can return in here. Fuel pump should come off, and it does. Those are also tests that I need to, uh, address. And if I turn everything off, there is nothing on as far as injectors. I can see that I lost communication, but I did that on purpose, so not a problem. This is the values of resting uh, here, just connected to the components, and we got no signals. So, but again, because it's very common in this one, sometimes the short injector, the harnesses on the injectors for this specific setup, the grounds for the injectors are shared, in the harness. So if your main ground goes bad, the computer, or not the computer, sorry, the starter will try to ground itself through the ECM grounds, and that end up then burning the injector drivers, and it's very common. All right, so but this is completely good. This is what I would do with just plug it in a computer. So let me plug the other one on. All right, things that I immediately notice is like this one. It has definitely a driver short. You see right there, that yellow. And hopefully I'm going to get quiet because this microphone takes the sound off. But Hopefully you can hear my simulator alarm is like I'm shorted, something is shorted. So resting voltage on the 5-volt reference is good. Um, yeah, but this is definitely we have a driver shorted in one of the injectors, and I can see it also here because nothing is on, but you can see in here if I set now the cursors horizontally, 'cause this is a nice thing about this scope that I can set a reading in here. So that is actually in 13 volts, which it should be okay because it's yeah, the other one is in 12.3 and the other one is in 14 something. So, but yeah, if I change the timing, where would that go? Did I press anything else? Oh yeah, I went to the other way. Yeah, that's what I need. So yeah, it's definitely just a short in there, riding along the power that is going to the injector. It's almost like grounding it momentarily. All right, but let's run this computer because as far as I understand from him, it's going to run. So this is the last checksum A644. So as soon as I turn this, well, it's actually on. It shouldn't. Now it's on. You see, this is when the computer is on. Now that's completely bright. You see how there's something grounded in here. When I turn the computer back on, the fuel pump driver is working good. The relay for that is fine. Now we got the 5-volt reference. Sorry for the glare. I'm going to read the computer because this is, again, it's going to be a different number. And it connects to the computer. We got zero codes too, at least here, but it says A705. Again, that's a different checksum, and we can see the hours that are actually correct to what he sent. So let's actually try to run this computer. So I'm going to run. I'm going to go to same idle, and it's actually something is not that right, but it's actually working. Let me change the time in here. I want to see because you see it's like one of the injectors or an injector is has a different hum, but it's still not affecting that much the computer. Let me take the cursors off. Because as you can see right here, even though we have that weird signal, this should be, as we have in the other one, very clean, but it's still not affecting 100% the computer running as far as injection timing. We have 1.2 milliseconds, so that's exactly what we have in the other computer, and that's pretty much what the other computer was showing. I'm going to start the recording so I can share or check that. I can move that out of the way. Nice thing about also here, I can always zoom in on the values that I want to see. If you want to get this big, you can always do it. But, for the video, I don't want to do that because I will, cover the rest and we don't have time for that. But yeah, so we have, well, actually the injectant pulse in here is showing zero point 0.9. What is it we have here? So let's set up the cursors again. Now we're going to change this to vertical. For those that ask, this is the Rode and Schwartz uh, RTH 1004. Very good, very powerful, 500 megahertz oscilloscope with 5 gigasamples per second buffer. This is a monster. I mean, really, really good. All right, so we can set up the cursors, and why is only one cursor? Oh, they were both in there. That's why. Now let's change the time so we can see this a little wider. We can move the trigger here so we can then put the cursor where we need it. And again, this is just, for me to confirm a little better what the time is. So we actually got 1.227. So the actual simulator is fine. And the reading in the computer is only showing 0.9. Um, hmm. So this computer will be running a little leaner because it's not giving the same amount of fuel. And I have to check again apples to apples. So I'm going to now raise it to 3000 RPMs as I did with the other one. All right, so we got 3000 RPMs. And the one thing that I didn't remember, I think I put like 40% or 30% because that's very specific. You need to have the same throttle and the same map values. So I'm going to just minimize this 1 second and then show you too. If I go here, documents, diacom data, and record. Those are the recordings. I just need to look for Josh, which is right here. Use Webster. Yeah, that's like. All right, so I know which one is. Let me try to see if I can open another diagram. No, I cannot. So let me then use this other computer, and that's what I have always, because I have another computer connected in here for another customer of mine. This is for David Conrad, and that's another video that is coming. So this has a lot of codes. This has 10 trouble codes. This computer was here, I think, like 6 months or so ago, and it was working good, and now it has no start and other things. But again, that's a separate note. So I'm going to disconnect from this ECM. I'm going to turn this ECM off because that is running another simulator. But then like that, I can, with TeamViewer, which I'm already connected in here. Yep, that I'm going to grab that same folder. Again, documents, diacom, record, and I can just grab Josh out of here. I'm going to click on it and then copy it because I want to keep it there. And I'm going to move that one over here. And again, since I got two diacoms, so to drain the softwares, I can just go to documents and then look for diacom data, record, and I can just, actually just paste it on here. Um, let's see if I can do just Control B. It looks like it did, so let me make sure it's here. Gosh, yeah. All right, so now I can open diacom. Okay, so still open. So right here, and then you go over to view a record data file. It looks like a folder right there. Come on. Finally. All right, so record. No, there's let's see, tools, options. No, that's not what I want. It's just okay. Open. You go to File on the corner. Open. Come on. Don't let me down. All right, let me stop this 1 second to see what's going on. All right, I don't know what was going on. I just closed ICOM and then opened it again. And now when I open the folder, it's immediately going into here, which is what I was looking for. So let's go look for Josh. And I don't see it. Right here. Okay, perfect. You see what I'm seeing? So this red area was before I even pressed the recording. So it was actually recording in the meantime of that. So We can then now, I'm going to make this one a little smaller because I just need to be able to see, and that's what it's nice to have a bigger screen. All right, so let's open here, here. I'm gonna make this smaller too. It's gonna get a little crowded in here, but I think that it's going to be fine. So we're gonna put that here. So if we go over to the 3000 values, just to where we are steady. So yeah, the throttle position is 34.8, and we have 29, so 34.8, and my inches of mercury is 11.5. That's the map, so 11.5, because that's going to change dramatically your injector pulse. You see right now I got 1.5, not the zero point 0.9 that I had before. So that's why you need to make sure that you compare apple to apples, right? Again, on the left side, we can see that's the A644, and on the right, the A705. So given this, that we have pretty much the same injection pulse, 1.4, 1.5, and again, if we check with the oscilloscope, we have pretty much the same. Although I can see that little weird glitch on the bottom of the injector and on the top. So it's writing on both signals. It's writing on injector bank A and bank B, but he is not complaining about that. He's concerned. Let me just read a little bit. The port ECM is the one in question. It appears that the computer is introducing a significant amount of fuel. I had to remove about 2 liters of fuel out of the crankcase in his last oil change that was performed, which was not very long ago. I have performed a significant amount of testing only to identify that the ECM appears to be commanding the injectors to pulse at a higher spool rate than this motor should be operating at. And that's exactly so. Sometimes, it's like I said, you can see something like what I saw at the start of the video, but focus on the customer concern. Same thing if you're working on a vehicle, if you're working on a car, and correct that. Because even though we have that little glitch in there, it's not affected the injector pulsation because we have, exactly that. And if I move this to the green, we will see that we have pretty much the same injector in milliseconds. See, 1.28, 1. 1.29, and if I zoom in, I can get um, a little more accurate because again, the smaller the signal is, or is less accurate for your fingers to locate it or the glitch, or sorry, the cursor. But you see 1.347. So again, this is for me, injection is the same. We have the same exact, this is live data. Again, we are recording 1.5 milliseconds, which is actually 1.347, and then we got 1.4. So again, these are the things we need to compare. Spark advance 40 degrees, spark advance 40.4, nothing abnormal in there. IAC position 111 and 109. That can change a little bit of the air going inside the engine, but both are working. We can see the IAC in there completely working. So I got nothing that is throwing out here a problem. Um, if we see the values of the map value for voltage, yes, it's the same. So we got 1.53 and 1.53. So this is exactly why a control environment is the best way to know if you have a problem or not in the computer. Because I'm going to show you in a second what he sent me when he was doing the test, and then I can see an immediately problem in the boat and not in the computer in there. So, all right, so we're going now to idle. And I'm recording this one as well, so we're going to idle, which I think that's too much. 45 is usually what I'm going to do. So I want to grab this now, this recording in here, and then put the computer in idle as I have it in here. So 675, I need to go to 12.6 manifold pressure. So we want to go to the same pressure. I'm changing it as we speak, 12.6 around there. And we want to have 10.2% of throttle. All right, so that's pretty much the same. Um, Little things that I noticed from computer to computer, and this is again, as long as the percentage is the same, it should not affect the computer's readings. But we can see a little bit of a difference on the voltage on the TPS. Um, this one, I can zoom in so I can show you this to you guys. Why is that showing me? Okay, perfect. And I can grab that so we can see those values a little better. You see with the 10.2 as we have here, 10.2, with this computer, the one running good, we got 0.65 volts, and in here we got 0.9. So a third, 300 millivolts difference of voltage. Nothing really that I can consider a problem since we have the same spark advance. We have, 6.5 degrees of spark advance, and we got the same in here. 1.2 milliseconds of injection pulse, 1.2 milliseconds of injection pulse. Um, Again, this is not, I don't see anything wrong with this computer that I can, yes, I see that little blip in there in one of the drivers when it's off, and that I will recommend him to get the grounds corrected because otherwise he's definitely going to end up damaging that computer. But running to make this computer go rich is not in here. Now we know that computer is doing and reading exactly the same, right? So this is the test that I always do, compare apples to apples. Now let's take a look of his recording, and that's what I asked him to do that. All right, so again, I have in here, um, these are just pictures, so we're going to see the computer at idle and the computer at idle. So this is the 644 at 607 RPMs, and this is the 705 at 600 and something RPM. Things that we need again compare apples to apples. It's like, all right, if you see the battery voltage is pretty much the same, but coolant temperature, and this one we got 108. I'm gonna keep you guys in here and I'm gonna read the values on the other one. So coolant temperature 108, he has 100 degrees, so not so bad. And manifold temperature, we got on the other hand 70 degrees, 43 degrees. So that's a huge difference. Air temperature, coolant temperature, manifold air pressure is in throttle position is main inputs for this type of computers. All right, so going down, we have in the one you guys are seeing 15.2 map sensor, and then the other one I have 13.6. You might say, well, then that's a bad map sensor, right? Well, look at the values. We got 2.2 volts, 1.9 volts. No, it's not a difference on the computer. It's not a problem on the map. It's the actual reading coming from the map sensor. The computer is just picking up what the engine is sending it to. So yes, it's going to give 1.6 and 1.4. And this is more noticeable when he's raising the RPMs. Actually, I don't have an RPM reading, but let me just take a look in here. Because yes, this is where, because this other one, again, same computer, 705 and 705. So he has 672, and yeah, the other one he only is doing it at 600 RPMs. But again, you cannot compare this ECM to the other one unless you keep the same values. Now we have only 95 degrees, 60 degrees. So the engine for some reason is showing a difference in temperature. I don't know what the time is this after or before he had run the boat for a while. This one it shows only a 90.93 of a minute, and then this one 3 minutes. So it got a little hotter on the coolant temperature, but it got colder on the manifold air temperature. So something is on the harness difference in there. And if we see these values, the throttle is in zero here, and the throttle in this time is in 0.04. You see right here? So he has 0.04, so sorry, 0.4% with zero point 0.6 volts, and they got 0 with zero point 0.5. Um, but then we can see that the math is immediately written 3.16. It's a little hard to show in here, but then that's, yeah, for sure. With that voltage, it's going to go to 2.6 degrees. But yeah, so is the computer the problem? No, definitely not. Because if it is when we move, because he told me, I think that he moved the computer from the known good engine to the known now problematic engine. So he moved the bad computer to the good engine, and it was doing pretty much the same. I'm like, well, that is either you have a problem in the connector or the computer is not meant for the same boat. Because in this case, like I said, you got 1.6, but look at the voltage of the map sensor. It's 2 volts, and here you got 3.1 volts. So the computer is not changing. It's whatever you inject in the computer. So either, again, the harness in this computer is meant to be running with a different map sensor than the one you have in this boat, or something is skewing the readings, not the computer. All right, guys, I want to share these diagnostic tests on these computers and also share this to Josh. And I went a little in depth on how I checked it because, yeah, you can be doing this for hours and then, like, what is my problem? Like I said, if I provide these values right here, 1.73 and 1.73, my injection time is dead on the money the same. We have 1.2 milliseconds and 1.2 milliseconds, a control environment. So the problem is not in the computer. The computer, all it does is read the sensor data and then give you what it can see based on that data. So even though these computers are different numbers, I am providing the same signals. They're working good. They're working good. Why you having the both? Based on what I can see here, if I am correct, and this was from one boat and then now to the other boat, you have some differences. I would like to see map sensor reading 11.9 and instead of 20 inches of mercury, because you have 15 inches of mercury, 20 inches of mercury, but then on the other side or the other boat, the one the computer running good, you got in one 13.6 and then the other one 11.9. And those are the main signals for injection. Again, coolant temperature, air inter temperature, map, and the TPS position. Because I can even change the TPS position, and let me show that in here, and that will not affect your injection time because again, you cannot do this on the boat. I can because this is a simulation. Now I'm in 40%, nothing changed, right? You can see the throttle body on the bottom. I can go down again to the 10 or some percent, and that didn't change. So let's take a look at the coolant temperature. I can go coolant temperature high, coolant temperature low. I'm setting codes probably, not yet, but it's not changing that map, sorry, injector millisecond. It did change for a second, 1.3. I don't know if you see that. The computer is trying to, make it up for that change in temperature. But if I touch the map sensor, that is an immediate change. It changes your injection milliseconds immediately, and it's going to try to change also your spark advance. So that is the main problem I will say that you are experiencing right now on this computer, and you can see, especially where you know with what you see, you got the same type of setup. So just look for what to change the values on that map sensor and make it work. All right, Josh, I'll be uploading this video as it got a little longer, but I want to share and help you out as much as I can. Both computers are testing as good. I just don't like a little bit of this because again, let me stop this recording. Now this computer has been running for 20 something minutes, so let me save this one. Where is that? Is the name is the same? Hmm. Usually when I stop that, it asks me for a name. That didn't happen. All right. We'll see. Hopefully I didn't lose that recording for doing all this. So let me stop this 1 second. Yeah, it was not there. I was just, what I did in there was actually just closing the window. You have to hit in here to be able to stop the recording. One thing that I didn't show, I'm not sure if I did or not in the beginning, this is the Ford computer. You can see the last four digits, 4145. Again, guys, this is diagnostic tests on two computers. Disregard for what they are for. I have all the wire diagrams and everything. That's how the way I was able to create all this setup. And yes, the only thing that I don't like is when I turn the computer off because, even now with the computer connected and running, and after running, it goes away. But as soon as I turn it off, you see that? I don't like that. That should not be there. And it's like a short on injector bank too, because if I remove that, that goes away, you see? So, but it's not giving an issue with the computer power up. So the driver is halfway bad. That's all I can say. It's not giving a problem in the injector, and I can see that in there. I will call Josh and see what he wants to do with that, because I can open the computer and I can try to repair that driver. These drivers on these computers are two drivers. One is replaceable, and the other one is a ceramic crystal that cannot be repaired. And if it's a crystal one, it's nothing I can do. And this will not be a map correction or anything. But yeah, as you can see, as soon as the computer is on, that goes away. That's telling me that it's actually the driver, kind of like a staying on with the battery, um, just plugged in. So in this one, you will have to pretty much, I don't know, disconnect the battery or have a switch, because as soon as I turn this off, this is going to be a battery draw. And that's why my simulator is complaining. All right, guys, I don't want to make the video too long. Hopefully you like this content. Again, I am Mike Salazar Diagnostics, trying to repair as much as modules that can be repaired, helping customers and people around the world pretty much. I right now have some computers from Finland and some areas in Europe. And yeah, it's increasing the views on the channel. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. See you next time. Bye bye.